and you shot her. You missed her from just a few feet away.
It's hard to shoot a moving target. She pointed a gun at my face and pulled the trigger. I worked at Macy's security.
So she goes into action. She tapping the magazine and then racking the gun while she's moving around.
Yes, she's a well-trained police officer.
Who's a whack job.
Who tried to kill me. I originally, when I was waiting for my security clearance, I was originally working on the ground. So ingress, egress from the gates, a cruiser, enforce the laws of the Uniform Code of Military Justice.
Commonwealth can call its next witness. Patrick Noonan.
Could you raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give in this cause now hearing shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth so help you God?
I do.
Thank you.
You may have a seat and put yourself right up to the mic. How are you doing this afternoon?
I'm doing all right. How about yourself?
Excellent. Thank you. You may proceed.
Sir, in a loud, clear voice, can you please introduce yourself? Spell your first name and your last name.
Patrick Noonan, Patricknoonan.
And how old are you, sir?
50.
And what town do you live in?
North Andover.
Where were you born?
Rochester, New York.
How long did you stay there?
Until I was about 4 years old.
And where did you move to?
North Andover.
Who did you move with?
My sister, mom, and dad.
And what are their names?
My mom is passed, but my dad is Timothy Noonan.
And what was her name?
Patricia.
And your sister?
Mary.
Did your sister live in the area?
She lives in Lynn.
Where did you go to school?
For high school?
Grade school, high school?
The North Andover Public School systems. And then for high school, I went to St. John's Prep.
And did you play any sports there?
Hockey and lacrosse.
Did you graduate?
I did.
Once you graduated, did you further your education in any way initially?
Initially, yeah, I went to Siena College for about a year, and then that wasn't working out. I got my degree later on down the road.
What did you get your degree in?
Criminal justice.
Where? From where?
UMass Law.
Now, after you left Siena, did you work?
Yes, I did.
What did you do?
I worked at Macy's security.
And at some point, how long did you work there?
A couple of years. It wasn't too long.
Did you meet anybody significant in your life while you worked at Macy's?
My wife.
Who's that?
Angie.
And was she working there also?
She was.
Did you get married at some point?
We did.
Okay, I'm going to ask you a dangerous question. What's your anniversary?
It is December 22nd.
Okay.
1999.
1999.
Yep.
Thank you. Do you have any kids?
I do.
How many?
Just one.
A boy or a girl?
Boy, Joseph.
And what does Joseph do?
He is currently at UMass Lowell as well, studying environmental engineering.
Have you lived in North Andover ever since you've been 4 years old?
No,
Did you move around?
I did when I was in the military.
Okay, we'll get to that. I'm sorry about that. At some point, you talked about you were in the military. What area of the military did you join?
Air Force.
Okay. And when was that?
That was in 99.
And where is boot camp for the Air Force?
Lackland Air Force Base in San Antonio.
Okay. And can you tell us a little bit about boot camp? Some of the training, some of the things that you were subjected to, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, it's some sleep deprivation. You also have, you have to learn how to march. They basically strip your identity and try to build you up as a team.
Okay.
Firearms training.
At some point, did you make it through boot camp?
I did.
Did you, I guess, enlist or volunteer to any special area of the Air Force?
Security forces.
And what is security forces?
They're basically the defenders of the force. So when I went in, I went through my tech school, which is almost like a police academy. We learn various different things in there, land nav, different weapons systems, things of that nature. And then once you graduate, you get your orders cut.
And what were your orders originally?
Cheyenne, Wyoming.
Okay. And what was your role when you were in Cheyenne, Wyoming?
I originally, when I was waiting for my security clearance, I was originally working on the ground. So ingress, egress from the gates, a cruiser, enforce the laws of the Uniform Code of Military Justice.
When you're going through that type of training, are you trained in the use of firearms?
Yes.
All different types?
Yes.
Any other types of weapons?
Yes.
Such as?
The 60, which is an fully automatic machine gun. The saw, which is pretty much the same, only it's a little lighter. The 203, which is an M16 with a grenade launcher attached to it. M16 and also your sidearm.
Eventually, did you get your security clearance?
I did.
Okay, and was your assignment different when you got that?
Yes, they moved me over to like a camper team. So whenever a facility goes down, you go with a 4-man team to protect the site.
Okay. What kind of sites are we talking about?
Missile sites.
Okay. Nuclear missile sites?
Yes.
And are they in one state, more than one state?
Tri-state.
And what tri-state area was that?
That would be Wyoming, Nebraska, Colorado.
And was that your range or?
Yes.
And at some point, well, can you tell us a little bit about the training you got? Was there any specific training for that job?
It was basically like on-job training.
Okay.
We're already trained up, so you get your orders, you get your assignment, and you link up with your 4-man team.
Okay. At some point, did you move on from what you had described as a camper team
Yes.
to where?
Fire team.
And what is a fire team?
Fire team consists of 4 people. Each person carries a different weapon, from the machine guns to the 203, so on and so forth. Our primary responsibilities were if any alarms were tripped on any of the missile sites, we respond.
Okay. And so you're heavily armed.
Mhm.
Is when you say you respond, is that on the ground?
Yes, it's on a Humvee. Yep.
Okay. Did you at some point move from a camper team to something else?
Yeah, to the fire team, and then from the fire team, I went to the 37th helicopter unit.
Okay, so the helicopter unit.
The 37.
Helicopter unit.
So how was your role different in the helicopter unit than it was on the camper team or the fire team?
We're still 4-man fire team, but our primary mission there was to have overwatch whenever we're transporting nukes to or from base, and we basically radio down to the U.S. Marshal if we see a potential threat up ahead.
When did you leave the service?
2003.
And when you left the service, did you go to work anywhere else?
Seabrook Nuclear Power Plant
In what capacity?
as an armed guard.
And any specific training of that, or did you rely on your military training for that?
There was also additional training for that. I think it was like 22 weeks or 12 weeks.
And what kind of trainings were that?
Just basic knowledge about nuclear energy, where to go in the plant, where not to go, different hazards to look out for, firearms training, and general knowledge of the whole plant itself.
At some point, did you decide to move on from Seabrook?
I did.
And what was your plan at that point?
The North Andover Police Department, I got on as a full-time reserve.
Okay. And how long will you work full-time reserve?
For 1 year.
And then did you become a full-time police officer?
I did. Went to the academy in 2006.
At some point during your tenure at the North Andover Police Department, did you have additional responsibilities?
Yes.
What were those?
Areas of responsibility, different sectors you're assigned to, respond to calls of service, 911, medical, effect arrest when necessary, enforce motor vehicle law.
Okay. What is RRT?
That's the regional response team.
And what is that?
They're a part of NEMLEC, and the RRT team primarily they deal with big crowds, riots, crowd control when it comes to, let's say, big games. If we win championships, just extra security, and also kind of like a search and rescue. If people go missing somewhere, they'll deploy the RRT to try to find them.
Were you part of that team?
I was.
For how long?
I would say about a year.
And NEMLEC, that's NEMLEC, correct?
Yes,
Northeast Massachusetts Law Enforcement Council?
that's correct.
Okay. Did you apply for a different role with NEMLEC
I
at some
did.
point? And what was that?
SWAT team.
And what's the difference between the RTT, the Regional Response Team, and the SWAT team?
The SWAT team primarily is special weapons and tactics. So we get trained up on different weapons, different uses of less lethal. We execute warrants, knock and no knock, for drugs and guns. If there is a hostage situation, I mean the whole gamut. Anything dangerous is what SWAT usually goes in for.
And so was this a team you had to apply for,
Try out.
try out?
Mhm.
Okay. And what did that consist of?
8 days. It was like a 3-mile boot run in the morning, and then you had to do push-ups in a certain amount of time, sit-ups, squat thrusts, squat benders. Then you had to run 1.5 miles after that and make a specific time. After that, it was I think it was a 3-mile obstacle course you had to complete in a certain amount of time. And then after that, it was all firearms.
Okay. What's stress shooting?
When you shoot under stress, so typically how we induce stress when we want to stress shoot is we'll do sprints, we'll do
Brown?
He's not here as an expert in stress shooting.
I'm sorry?
He's giving expert testimony about what you should and shouldn't do under stress.
So he was asked how he practiced stress shooting. That's the way I understood it. So
So the assumption sort of rolled in there, Judge, is that he knows about stress shooting and he knows what he's doing with respect to stress shooting.
But well, he does, because he's been trained in it and he's telling me that about the training. So
Well, I don't object to his training. We're hearing a lot of it, but I do object to any sort of imprimatur as if he's an expert in giving his opinions about the area.
okay, so I'm gonna take, as I said, I'll take it as it comes. I haven't heard any opinion testimony. If there's an opinion, please by all means object, but overrule.
Thank you.
You continue.
So to induce stress, when we go up to the range, we'll do a series of sprints, burpees, push-ups, sit-ups, and then we go right in line. That's for the intent of raising your heartbeat to a very high level and being able to shoot on target.
And when you say online, what do you mean?
Right in front of your targets.
Okay.
That's what I mean.
All right. What's SWAT school?
That consisted of a full week, and I went to Worcester, and it was put on, hosted by LAPD SWAT.
Okay. What did that consist of?
Room entry, hallway clearing, room clearing, building searches, building clearing, the use of flashbangs, firearms, less lethal weapons, operating a Bearcat, shield work, the use of a Halligan, the use of a ram, things of that nature.
What's a shoot don't shoot scenario?
As far as
Is that a thing? Shoot don't shoot?
oh yeah, we have don't shoot scenarios.
Okay. And did you participate in those?
We did.
What are those?
They would put up targets when we were clearing a house, and some of them, the pictures were depicted of either someone having a gun to someone's head as like a hostage, or someone would just be holding up a purse. So that was shoot, no shoot.
Okay. How often, when you were with SWAT, were you required to train with them?
2 times a month, and then a 40-hour block in the year.
Every year?
During the year, yeah.
Okay. And so how long were you with the SWAT? You were with it twice, correct?
Yeah, I was on 2 different teams.
Okay. The first time, how long were you with SWAT?
From 07 to, I believe, 13, shortly after the marathon bombings.
Okay. At some point, did you switch departments?
I did.
And you were in North Andover at the beginning, and where did you go?
I went to Lawrence.
Why?
I wanted a little faster pace.
Okay. Did you get it?
I definitely did.
Okay. Now, while you were with Lawrence, did you continue with your SWAT?
Yes, I tried out for the Lawrence SWAT team.
Okay. Can you tell us your trajectory while you were in Lawrence? Were you always on patrol?
No.
Okay. Can you tell us about that, please?
Became a field training officer, and then I wound up in detectives for several years. And then I went back to patrol to field train the new guys, SWAT, and that's pretty much it.
Now, you said you tried out for the Lawrence SWAT team, correct?
Yep.
And how long did you do that?
That was another 8-hour day.
Okay. I'm sorry. No, was that, I don't mean, that was a bad question. How long did you make it, right? You made it. And how long did you participate in the Lawrence SWAT team?
I believe 2019 to by the time I departed and went back to North Andover.
Okay. And
2024, Your Honor.
why did you come back to North Andover?
I just wanted to bring my training and experience back to where it all started. I have 10 years left, so yeah, that's about it. And I'm getting older, so the slower pace is kind of needed.
Okay. So I'm going to turn your attention back to June 30th, 2025. Were you patrol on that day?
Yes,
Okay. What was your shift, if you remember?
I did a swap, so I was working for another officer. So that shift was 4 to 12.
At some point, did you get a call from someone in particular?
Yes, Officer Houston.
And at some point, did you learn why he called you?
Yes.
And why was that?
Apparently, the defendant's ex-fiancé took a restraining order out.
You had to serve it?
Yes, we had to serve it.
Did you know that person? Did you know a person by the name of Justin Alain?
Didn't know him, but I met him on one occasion.
Did you know the defendant, Kelsey Fitzsimmons?
Knew her, but not well. She was on maternity most of the time that when I first transferred over. So
All right. So you got a call from Houston.
I did.
Where did you go?
We met behind the Atkinson School. It's called the CCC, and he explained the situation to me.
Was anybody else arrive at that point?
Not yet.
Okay. At some point, did someone?
Yes,
Who was that?
Lieutenant Daly.
Did you talk about any plan as to how this was going to occur?
Yeah, Lieutenant Daly said that he'd do the talking, and based on the restraining order, Justin was supposed to get custody. Oh, sorry.
Well, I'm sorry. Well, I'll jump in. So you knew that there was potentially a child there,
Yes.
and that the child would be transferred from the defendant to the fiance, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. So where did you go?
So from there, I pointed out to Officer Houston and Lieutenant Daly the positioning of where the defendant had parked her car, which was at least 150 yards away from her house. And we all thought that was very odd.
So where did you go?
We pulled up right before the house. The foliage was pretty overgrown. So we left our cars there, got out, and walked up to the front door.
Okay. At some point, did you come into contact with the defendant?
Yes, we did.
How did that happen?
Lieutenant Daly knocked on the door or rang the doorbell, and she came out.
Okay. Was she with anybody?
Her baby.
Where did you go?
We went into the family room. She went straight to a couch that's off to the left, and I kind of went straight. There was another couch, and I believe Houston was to the left of me.
Did you see and hear Lieutenant Daly interacting with the defendant?
Yes.
Can you tell us what you saw?
He explained the situation that Justin had taken the restraining order out, that we were going to have to remove firearms from the house, and that the baby, their son, he was going to be in Justin's custody for, I think it was 14 days until the next court hearing.
When Lieutenant Daly mentioned that the guns were going to be removed, did the defendant say anything about that?
Yeah, she said that they were located downstairs in the basement.
What happened after that?
I noticed her duty belt, the couch, so I went and checked that. There was no firearm in there, and I observed a gun case on a mantle. I opened that up, and there was no gun.
There was no gun. Did she say anything in response to that?
Yeah, she reiterated the gun to her downstairs in the basement.
What happened next?
She went to gather some belongings for their son, and she came up and handed me the baby. He was screaming. I was trying to calm him down. I believe she gave me his bottle, and I was trying to feed him, but I'm thinking it can't be too comfortable. I wear an Albert Carrier vest, and I have all my equipment in the front, so it was kind of hard to cradle him.
Did you eventually hand the baby off to someone else?
I did. I believe Lieutenant Daly.
Now, do you typically wear gloves when you're on duty?
I do.
Were you wearing gloves that day?
Yes, briefly for maybe like 10 minutes.
Okay. Did you take them off once you were in the house?
I did.
Now, did Miss Fitzsimmons leave the room at all?
While I was with the baby, yes. Lieutenant Daly and Officer Houston escorted her around. I think it may have been a kitchen area. I never went back there, so I just basically stayed in the family room with their son.
Okay. Did, on a typical restraining order service, would you let a person who is the subject of the restraining order walk around the house unattended?
No.
At some point, did they come back?
Yes.
Okay. What happened after that?
I handed the baby off. I was standing in front of our stairs, and she had stated that she had clothes upstairs for the baby, so I handed the baby off.
And so did someone go upstairs?
Myself and Officer Houston.
Okay. Where did you go?
We right at the top of the stairs. It's a very small hallway. Right to the left is the baby's room. Right to the right is the main bedroom.
Okay. And so where did she go first?
To the left, to the baby's room.
And what did you observe?
I observed a crib. The back wall had bookshelves of sort, and there were just clothes on the ground.
Did you enter the room or did you stay on the outside?
I entered the room there.
Okay. What did you see the defendant doing, if anything?
She was wrapping up baby clothes, and she put him in a car seat. And then while she was doing that, I heard an older lady come in and start to yell at Lieutenant Daly.
Okay. Did that create any reaction from the defendant at all?
No, I asked her who that was downstairs, and she looked up and said she had no idea.
What happened next?
She handed me the baby seat and asked me to take it downstairs. And I told her no.
Okay. What did you do with it?
I put it on the ground. I said, we'll deal with that later.
What happened next?
She started packing a lot of books, and it's almost like this round basket with two handles. And I explained to her that her son's 4 months old. No need for all the books. You know, you're going to see him in 2 weeks. So
what did she do with the books?
she handed me the basket and asked me to go downstairs, bring it downstairs.
And what did you do?
I told her we would deal with it later, and I put it down on the ground.
Okay. And you told her she'd see her son in 2 weeks?
Yeah, roughly. I said your next court date is on the 14th.
What happened after you had that conversation with her and put the book carrier down?
At that point, Officer Houston had gone downstairs because of the commotion. So she said that she had to get more clothes out of her room. So I followed her into the room, but I never went in the room. I stayed on, I guess, the top landing, right before the door frame.
Okay. And did that seem to be a bedroom?
Yes.
Okay, so if you walk up the stairs, you had been in the room on the left, correct?
Yes.
Now she went across to the room on the right?
Yes.
Okay. You said you didn't go into the room yourself.
No.
Were you able to see her?
Yeah, she was 3 feet in front of me.
Okay, and what was she doing?
She was wrapping up clothes, and she had paused, and she said something to the effect that these are dirty. And I said, listen, you know, wherever the baby's going, I'm sure there's a washer and dryer.
Overall,
I said, wherever the baby's going, most likely has a washer and dryer, so don't be concerned. And then I could tell she was getting upset. She started to shake, and I said, listen, you know, court date is in 2 weeks. It'll be over before you know it.
Did something happen next?
Yes, she was on one knee when she was wrapping up the clothes, and she pushed off with her left foot and lunged behind the door frame. So to my left, to her right.
Okay. Could you see what was there from where you were?
Not from my perspective, no.
What happened after she went behind the door frame?
She reappeared with a gun and pointed it right at me and pulled the trigger.
Can you describe or show us how she did that?
Yep. So when she came around the frame here, she came up and click.
Okay. Where was it pointed?
My face.
After it clicked, what happened?
I screamed her name. I was completely shocked. She had the drop on me. She began to drop, which means she had the tactical advantage over me. I drew my weapon. She was already backpedaling, and she was doing what we call a tap rack. Basically, when you do a tap rack, that's when your gun malfunctions. So when you tap the magazine, you want to make sure it's properly seated in the magazine well. and then you rack the upper receiver or the slide.
Okay, I think the judge was writing. I'd like him to see this, if I could, if you could just,
Yeah.
because you made some,
I'm trying to understand the lingo too. Is it a tap, wrap, like a
Rack,
wrap?
yes.
may he stand up so you can see what he's doing, Judge?
So a tap, and a rack.
Okay. So tap on the bottom of the magazine,
Yes.
in a rack. Did she do that once or more than once?
She did it twice. So the first time she did it, it was slow motion. I could see her hand slide off the top of the receiver. She started moving her way around the bed, and she began tap racking again. And I was yelling at her, "Don't do it! Don't do it!"
And then what happened?
After she successfully got around in the chamber, her right arm started to come up, and I shot twice in rapid succession.
At her.
Yes.
Can you hold on one second, please? Yeah, I'll set that.
What did you observe after you fired the second shot?
I saw her flinch. The gun went down, so I stopped shooting. She stopped her action, and then she went to the ground
Where was she at this point?
on the opposite side of the bed, in between the wall and the bed.
What did you do next?
I covered down on her.
And what does that mean?
I kept my gun on her or in the area of where she was because I couldn't really see all of her at that point.
What part of her could you see?
I think her legs, maybe. I don't really remember.
Okay. Did someone else appear at that time?
Lieutenant Daly.
Okay. And what did you see him do, if anything?
He came up, said, "Where's the gun?" I said, "She still has it. I'll cover you."
And so what happened?
We walked around the bed. I stayed lethal force on her. He rolled her and saw the gun.
Okay. Did you see the gun?
I did too. Yep.
What happened with the gun?
He put it on the bed, and she was still conscious, alert, moving. I grabbed the gun. I moved it to the other side of the room.
Okay. What did you do next?
We immediately started first aid,
Okay. How so?
putting pressure on the wound. We wanted to see if there was an exit wound, which there was. So we were trying to stop the bleeding. Lieutenant Officer Houston came running upstairs with a med kit. Lieutenant Daly started to wrap the wounds in gauze. And then Officer Cork came into the room, and I ordered him to secure the weapon.
And did you see him do that?
I did.
Did you hear the defendant saying anything after she was on the ground?
It hurts. And I said, "Just keep breathing. You have a baby to live for."
What happened next?
The medics showed up, fire department, and we all got out of their way so they could start working Kelsey.
Did they transport her out?
Yes, they did.
Did you look for anything after she was removed from the house?
So before she was removed from the house, I walked out of the bedroom just to give them space. It was just a very small room. There was a lot of stuff everywhere. Right to the right, there was some sort of, I don't know, end table where she lunged. And it looked like a wooden box of some sort. And the lid was open on that.
Did you look for any damage out in the hallway at all, or the other room?
When I got out into the hallway, the baby's room had a door with little glass panes. And we noticed, Officer Core noticed it first. He said, this is damage. Did she get a round off on you? And I said, geez, maybe she did.
Okay, hold on. Sustain.
Did you notice the broken glass?
Yes, I did, but there was nothing on the floor. So
At some point, did you?
Excuse me one second. Broken glass, where was it?
so on the baby's room, there's a door. I believe it was on the baby's room, and it had little glass panes.
Right.
One of them was damaged, but there was no glass on the floor, Your Honor, so I chalked it up as old.
Why did you shoot twice?
She wouldn't stop.
Do you know if you hit her with the first one or the second one?
I didn't know. The second one, I could visibly see her flinch. The first one, no, she was still getting ready to raise her arm.
Sir, I'm going to show you a number of pictures. I'm going to show you what's been marked as exhibit number 6. Recognize that?
I do.
Okay, what is that?
That's the front of the defendant's house and the door that we entered.
Showing you exhibit number 10. Do you recognize what that is? Is that the front door?
Oh, yes, that's the front door. The stairs are right to the right. Yeah.
Sure. It would have been marked as exhibit number 36. You recognize that?
The stairs leading up. The stairs leading upstairs. So right to the right would be the master, and if you took a quick little left, the baby's room.
We'll show you it's been marked as exhibit number 39. Is that the baby's room that you're talking about?
Yes,
Number 38. Recognize what that is?
the baby's room.
Is that the container, I guess you will, of books that we were talking about earlier at the bottom?
Oh, yes. Right there.
I'm going to show you what's been marked as exhibit number 49. You recognize what that is?
That would be the entrance going into the master.
Okay, into the bedroom?
Yes.
Show you what's been marked as exhibit number 51. Do you recognize what's in that photo?
That would be the box that was open to the left of the door frame.
Number 50. Do you recognize what that is?
Yes.
Where were you in relation to this picture? Sorry. Where were you when you first observed Miss Fitzsimmons pull out the gun and aim it at your face?
Right before the door frame.
Okay, so you backed up a little?
Yep. Probably right. Whoever took that picture, probably right there.
And where were you in relation to the door frame when you shot your weapon?
I used part of the door frame as some sort of cover, and I was leaning up against it with both my hands. So my gun and my wrists would have been in the room.
Show you what's been marked.
Also, thank you.
Show you what's been marked as exhibit number 53. Do you recognize it?
I do.
Can you tell us, and Judge, if I may ask him to get down to point it out to you?
Okay.
Can you tell us where Miss Fitzsimmons was, if you may,
Point.
to show the judge where Miss Fitzsimmons was when she first tap racked it, if you can?
Right about here, and then she started sidestepping, and I was telling her not to do it, and I shot approximately right here, and she finished.
So it makes sense to stop for the day at this point. We'll pick up at 9 a.m. tomorrow morning. And witnesses, the folks that are on the witness list should continue to follow my order and rule. And that is not to watch any of the other folks' testimony, and we will pick up tomorrow morning.
All rise. We'll stand in recess. Hear ye, hear ye, hear ye. All persons have anything to do before the Honorable Jeff Park, Justice of the Superior Court, now sitting in Lawrence, within and for the County of Essex, draw near, give your attendance, and you shall be heard. God save the Commonwealth of Massachusetts in this most honorable court. Court is now open. Please be seated. Good morning, Your Honor.
Good morning.
March 24th, 2026. Courtroom 2, Lawrence Superior Court. The Honorable Justice Jeff Park presiding. Calling the criminal matter of Commonwealth versus Kelsey Fitzsimmons, docket 2025, 77 CR 311, scheduled today for continued jury waive trial. Could counsel please identify themselves for the record?
Good morning, James.
Good morning.
Morning, I'm Maria Moyer.
Good morning.
Morning, Your Honor. Martha Cooley, representing the defendant, Kelsey Fitzsimmons.
Good morning. Good morning, Ms. Fitzsimmons.
Radel, Kelsey Fitzsimmons to my right, and thank you again, my paralegal, Courtney Healy, to my left.
Good morning. Okay, you folks can have a seat. And I want to apologize to everyone for running a bit late. I wanted to do some last minute research on the motion for a view. And wanted to talk to you folks about it. So paper 88 is the defendant's motion for a view. And I guess at this point, is the defense still seeking the view?
Judge, we haven't had any progress on the other end of it. Excuse me. Okay. At this point, I am satisfied with your discretion. If you would like a view, we'll do it. I did file a motion. If you feel that at the close of the evidence you would like a view, I will make it happen.
Okay, well, let me just tell you my present thinking. So, and I think some of this you're implying, so I don't think I'm patronizing you by any means. But so I was told at Sidebar yesterday that Miss Fitzsimmons no longer owns the home, and it belongs to a it is now owned by a third party. So has the defense been in communication with the current owner?
Not the owners themselves, some representatives, Your Honor, and it's just honestly kind of getting a little bit of passive resistance about it.
Okay, all right, so just to point out, and this is why I was running late, I was trying to remember, there was a case from a couple decades ago, I think, Commonwealth versus Mattis, which goes through the procedure under circumstances where none of the parties have, well, a party seeks access to someone's home for purposes of a view, and essentially my memory is, and just a quick look this morning, is that it's kind of a Rule 17 circumstance where the homeowner would need to be summoned, given an opportunity to be heard about whether we could go in there. So this issue a lot of times doesn't come up because a lot of times the Commonwealth has either the scene is a public place or the Commonwealth has had the ability to I guess to reach out to the owners and make that work. But the Commonwealth is not seeking a view. They have the burden of proof. And I guess my position at this point is neutral. I would, if the defense wants a view and you're able to set it up in a timely manner, well, Commonwealth, if the defense was able to set up the view, in other words, reach out and do the legwork that the Commonwealth usually does, is the Commonwealth opposed to it? Okay. Will the Commonwealth and your resources help us? Okay. Thank you. So I'm just going to leave it to you, Mr. Brado. I just don't want a last minute decision because we need to, Mr. Ruane especially needs to make plans for transportation, et cetera. So I just don't, it seems to me that as for whether I need it or not, I think it's not my place to say. I know I did, in fairness to both sides, I did say that yesterday. And after thinking about it, I don't think it's my place to say. The Commonwealth has the burden. The defense has due process rights, as well as many other constitutional rights, and I'm open to accommodating a view.
Thank you very
Okay,
much, Your Honor.
just let Mr. Ruane know sooner than later.
Very good.
Okay.
And we wouldn't, I can just tell you now that we don't want to, force these people to do it. We don't want to get into a
Right.
thing with it, but
I can tell you this from my perspective. Here I am talking again out of both sides of my mouth, which from my perspective, it arguably is less helpful where the items in the bedroom or the layout and even like the bed and all that aren't the same. And I can get I get a sense that this is a pretty narrow stairwell, et cetera. But in any event, I'll leave it to you folks. You folks are better at doing your jobs than I am.
so I'll take one more, we'll reach out one more time, see where it goes, and we'll advise the court by the end of the day.
Okay,
Thank you.
no problem at all. And other than that, I think we left off with Officer Noonan. I'm sorry, were you going to say something? Mr. Go-
Two more questions for him, and then.
For him. Okay, all right, let's so we left off near the end of direct examination of Officer Noonan. He can be recalled.
I'll just remind him that we could take the stand, sir.
Good
Just
morning, sir.
reminding you that you're still under oath from yesterday.
Yes, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
All set, Mr. Bubatosi?
Thank you. Sir, I just had a couple more questions for you. The firearm that you used on the 30th, what happened to it after you left the residence?
So I secured the scene, and then once more officers showed up, they relieved me, and the chief had me walk with him to his car, and he took my firearm and he gave me his.
You talked about Kelsey Fitzsimmons. Do you see her in the courtroom today?
I do.
Can you point to her and describe an article of clothing that she's wearing?
She's wearing a sweater.
May the record reflect she has identified the defendant.
Yes, it may.
Thank you. I have nothing else.
Okay. Cross-examination?
May I inquire?
Yes, please.
Thank you. Good morning, sir.
Morning.
Before we get into the case, I'm looking at your glasses.
Hmm?
Are those glasses AI recording type glasses?
No,
Okay, so you're not recording anything, right?
absolutely not.
Okay. Let's go to June 30th at Kelsey Fitzsimmons' house. What time did you get there?
I think right around 6 or 5:30, 6 o'clock.
The upshot of that visit was that when you got there, you didn't secure the firearms, did you?
No, we didn't.
And you, collectively, meaning the three of you, you brought the guy getting the restraining order to the person he claims he's in fear of, correct?
I wasn't aware that Justin was en route. That was Lieutenant Daly when he made arrangements with Justin.
So you're saying that was, sorry, finish your answer.
Justin, I am.
That was not your part of this incident?
No, it wasn't.
Okay, and you're saying oh, sorry.
Excuse me one minute. Second. I want the jury box to be empty. So I just want to have the gentleman move. Sorry about that, sir. We'll make room for you. Thank you. And just one second, Mr. Brady. All set, Mr. Brady. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Thank you. So when did you become aware that Justin Elaine was coming to the house?
I wasn't aware.
Did you see him at all when you were there?
No.
You were aware that he came in and was walking around the house?
No.
You were not?
No.
Okay. You go upstairs with Kelsey and with Officer Houston, correct?
Yep.
Officer Houston leaves to see who's coming in downstairs?
There was an older woman that was causing a scene with Lieutenant Daly, and
Did Houston go downstairs?
he did to mitigate what was going on downstairs, is what my belief was.
And you were with Kelsey when she had gone into her bedroom, correct?
Yes.
Then you went down the stairs to see what was going on.
No,
You took some steps down the stairs, didn't you?
I did not.
Your testimony is that you stayed on that landing?
Yes.
Okay. Isn't it true you left Kelsey alone in that room for a period of time?
No.
You're serving an order on someone who's your colleague, correct?
Correct.
It's fair to say that this restraining order service isn't exactly going by the book, is it?
And from my past experience, it is.
Well, the guns are floating around out there.
Actually, Kelsey had stated the guns were downstairs in the basement and safe.
I didn't ask you what she stated, did I?
Continue.
Thank you. So the guns are still floating around. You're serving a colleague. The guy comes to the house who's got the order. It's fair to say this isn't exactly a garden variety service of a restraining order, is it?
That's inaccurate.
It's inaccurate?
Yes.
Okay. And this is just another day for you?
No, it's not.
So in fact, you were working, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
You get a call from Houston.
Yes.
He tells you what the plan is, correct?
Yes, he said that.
I didn't ask you what he said.
Okay.
He told you what the plan is, correct?
No. He asked me to meet up with him.
He told you that Kelsey's ex-fiancé got a restraining order and that you had to serve it, get her firearms, and get the baby, didn't he?
Not on the phone, no.
And you said to Houston on the phone, whatever he said to you, your answer was, sounds good, right?
No.
That's not what you said.
I don't remember what I said to him.
Well, that's what you told the grand jury, isn't it?
Objection.
Overruled.
Misstating what he told the grand jury.
Well, you can restate during redirect.
We'll get to all that. We'll circle back.
And I prefer that both sides show a witness what they're referring to when they're trying to
I will.
impeach. Thank you.
I want to ask you some questions about your relationship with Kelsey.
Sure.
You said that you didn't know her well.
That's correct.
And you said that she was on maternity leave most of the time. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct.
And you also said that you got along well with her, right?
For the time, I think we went to 1 or 2 calls together. Other than that, I worked a completely different shift. So we got along when we went to calls. Yes.
Did you get along well with her or not?
Yeah.
Okay. And did you think well of her?
I really didn't have an opinion. I didn't have a chance to really get to know her.
Well, do you know Maureen Teresi, your neighbor?
Maureen Teresi.
You gave her your opinion of Kelsey, didn't you?
I don't remember.
You called her a whack job, didn't you?
I don't recall.
I'm sorry, Mr. Bradley, I missed the question. Can you state
Sure.
it again?
So I asked him if he knew Miss Maureen Teresi, his neighbor,
Okay.
and I said that he gave his opinion of Kelsey to his neighbor, and that he called her a whack job. And then you can answer again, sir. What was your answer?
I don't recall.
You don't recall?
I don't.
Is it possible you called her a whack job to your neighbor?
It's possible.
So that's what you really think about Kelsey, isn't it? That she's a whack job.
After she tried to kill me.
And at the time, you went in there loaded for bear, didn't you?
No.
Well, let's see. You told the state police that the job was to section her, didn't you?
It was spoken about that if she reacts badly during the restraining order, she may have to get sectioned.
Well, that's what you said, that you had pre-planned that you were going to section her.
It
The
wasn't
job was to
pre-planned.
section her, isn't that what you said?
No, that's inaccurate.
So-
Hold on one second. Let me just go through some ground rules. You need to wait until the question is complete because we can't have 2 folks talking over one another.
Yes, sir.
All right, thanks for.
And also, you raised quite a lot of concerns about where Kelsey parked her car, correct?
Yes.
And you suggested at one point that you could box her in and take her into custody with respect to the car, right?
Yes.
So you were thinking that she was going to need to be sectioned, that she was a whack job, and that she needed to be boxed in and placed into custody, right?
Objection.
I'm asking about a state of mind from her.
He has testified that he thought she was a whack job before he went.
Overruled.
Those are all things that were in your mindset, weren't they?
No.
Well, you said them, right?
No, that's inaccurate.
Sectioning her,
It was brought up by my lieutenant that she may have to be sectioned
and you told the state police that part of the job was to section her.
if she were to be sectioned.
You didn't say that part to the state police, did you?
I don't recall.
Okay, well, we'll go over all this, don't worry.
Okay.
And so, with respect to the car, you testified in such a manner that you're suggesting that there was some suspicion attached to that, right?
Can you rephrase?
Yeah, you're suspicious of the fact that she parked the car 150 yards away, you said.
Yes.
So, your mindset is that she's evading something or she's up to something?
Well, in my training and experience, the distance of where she parked her car from her house and having a baby, and also her behavior in the past where her car was always parked in the driveway, was
So you didn't know her very well.
I knew where she lived and I patrol the town, so I have to drive by her house.
So she parks in the school next to her house.
Yes.
What are you thinking she's going to do?
I don't know. I don't know what her mindset was.
So you're speculating about any suspicion that's attached to that parking job, right?
I was just suspicious about that.
So she's in the house. You
Yes.
know she's in the house.
No, I don't.
You go to the house. You knock on the door. Daly knocks on the door. She comes out like a regular mom,
Yes.
holding the baby, wearing sweats, hair's probably in a ponytail, opens the door,
Yes.
right? So at that point, do you let go of your suspicions about where she parked the car?
I was still curious as to why she parked her car over 150 yards away.
Well, you're looking at it through your own lens as an investigator. Isn't it possible that there's 100 other possibilities in her life that maybe she parked there for some other reason?
Could be. I don't know. Again, I don't know what her mindset was.
So you go in there and you are the only officer who has tactical gloves on when you go in there, correct?
They're neoprene gloves. Yes.
So you're ready for anything, right?
It's past practice with me after working in Lawrence for so long. I tend to glove up for sanitary reasons. I knew we were going to have to handle her firearms, so I didn't want to get any of my prints or anything on them.
But you said you took them off fairly quickly when you got in there.
Yes.
And at what point did you take them off?
Right before she handed me the baby.
So you hadn't yet touched the firearms and you took them off. So that plan about not getting your prints on the firearms didn't pan out, did it?
I didn't want to hold the baby with those gloves. They're pretty dirty.
And while we're talking about holding the baby, it's fair to say that Kelsey Fitzsimmons, with 3 cops standing there, had her baby, and she's the one that chose to give it to you. Isn't
Yes.
that right? You didn't ask for it. Daly didn't order her to give it to you. She, with whatever her mindset was, chose you to take her baby. Isn't that right?
That's correct.
And she chose you to take a bottle and feed her baby, right?
That's correct.
And then this is 5 minutes before you say she tries to murder you, right?
That's correct.
Now, you said that you felt that the baby couldn't be comfortable because you had your vest on. So it wasn't comfortable and you wanted to give the baby off to someone else, right?
That's correct.
Fair statement?
Yes.
Okay. Well, that's not what you said prior, is it?
Well, I like to have my hands free as well. I don't like my hands tied up.
That's what you said the last time, right? That when you spoke with the state police, that you didn't like having anything in your hands, and it was really a tactical reason why you gave the baby up, right?
No, it wasn't a tactical. I just didn't want to be holding the baby.
Isn't it tactical that you want to have your hands free to deal with anything you have to deal with at this?
I want to have my hands free on every call.
What's wrong with the word tactical? Why isn't that tactical?
Can you rephrase that?
What's wrong with the word tactical?
There's nothing wrong with that.
So why doesn't it apply? Because I said it?
I'm sure it could apply.
I'll strike that, Your Honor. Why doesn't it apply?
I'm sure it could apply. Sure.
So for tactical reasons, you gave up the baby, but that's not what you said here at this trial, is it?
I don't recall what you. Can you rephrase that?
Well, here at the trial, you said that the baby couldn't have been comfortable and you wanted to give the baby off, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
And you didn't say anything about wanting to keep your hands free for tactical reasons, right?
It wasn't asked.
You were asked what happened repeatedly, and you had every opportunity to talk about it, didn't you?
Sure.
And you left it out.
Not on purpose.
We'll see.
Mr. Brado, a comment like that isn't helpful, please.
Sorry, Your Honor, motion is strike.
You're moving to strike your own comment?
I am.
It's allowed. And that's very forthright of you.
Just a moment.
Yep, take your time.
I want to ask you something about your grand jury testimony that we alluded to. So your testimony here was that you didn't get the whole plan from Officer Houston on the phone, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
And my suggestion that your answer about the thing in sort of a matter of fact way was, okay, sounds good. And you disagree that you said that, right?
I don't disagree. I just don't recall.
You don't recall?
Yeah, what I said.
So isn't it true that you were asked, page 36, who did you get a call from? Officer Houston. And what was that call about? Was the next question. And your answer was, he had asked me if Lieutenant Daly reached out to me. I said no. Officer Houston said, hey, can you meet me at the CCC, which is a little grade school behind the Atkinson School. He said, we have to serve papers to Officer Kelsey. I said, okay, sounds good. And I drove over to that location and met up with him, right? And
Sure.
You knew those papers were a restraining order for Kelsey to give up the baby, give up her guns, lose her job, brought by her fiance, right?
I had no idea what was entailed in the restraining order at that time.
At what point did you learn the job here?
As far as the restraining order?
As far as this job you were going to do at Kelsey's house?
What job?
The restraining order service, taking the baby, finding the guns,
When I met up with
sectioning her,
Officer
boxing her in.
when I
putting
met
her
up
into
with Officer
custody.
Houston.
Don't talk when I'm talking, sir. Box.
Hold
Sorry.
on. Let's not argue back and forth and just ask your questions. If you just wait to answer until he's done. If you can restate, thank you.
Sure. So you asked me what the job was. So my suggestion is that the job is serving the restraining order, going to get the baby, finding the guns. You thought about boxing her in and taking her into custody. You thought about sectioning her. That job.
When I met up with Officer Houston behind the CCC,
And at that point, you knew what you were getting into, right?
after he explained what was going on, and we were pretty shocked.
In all of the statements you've made prior to being here yesterday and today, you've never said that you were pretty shocked about anything, have you?
I don't recall.
You weren't shocked. You were treating this like a video game, weren't you?
No.
Well, your first answer is, sounds good, like it's any other day, right?
As to meeting up with him behind the CCC. Yep, sounds good. I'll see you there.
Sounds good to meet up. Okay. Let's talk about the bedroom and the shots that you fired. Here in court, you said that those shots were in rapid fire.
Rapid succession. Yes.
Okay. And like a boom, boom.
Yes.
No, that's not what you said to the state police, though, is it?
That was 8 months ago, right around there. I don't recall. I said I shot twice, possibly.
You told the state police that you pulled the trigger. This is 1232 in audio. You told the police that you pulled the trigger once. You said the word once. And then you said, I kept giving commands. And then you said, I pulled the trigger again. That's a completely different scenario than 2 shots in rapid succession, isn't it?
As far as the time frame, I was trying to recall the event as best as possible. But, rapid succession, you pull the trigger, pull it again. Yes, I pulled it twice.
So that was July 3rd, right after this incident, wasn't it?
Yes, sir.
So it's fair to say that talking then it's right after the incident. Now you're here in court. Both of those propositions can't be true, can they?
I'm sorry, what?
The proposition, I'll rephrase it. The proposition that you said here in court, that you made 2 shots in rapid succession,
Yes.
and what you said on July 3rd, 1 shot, giving some commands, another shot, both of those things can't be true, can they?
They can be true.
They can be true.
Yes.
So rapid succession, and then what? You talk really fast before the second shot?
Oh, I was given commands. Don't do it. Don't do it.
I'm asking you about this particular passage, this particular thing. Here you said you made 2 shots in rapid succession.
Yes.
You painted a different picture on July 3rd, didn't you?
No.
You shot, you gave commands, and then you shot again.
That's
How can that be rapid succession?
because that's how it went in
You
rapid succession.
You just agreed with me that it was a boom boom.
Yes.
So where's the time for the commands between the shots?
As I'm yelling them.
Well, that's not what you said. You said you pulled the trigger once. I kept giving commands. I pulled the trigger again.
Yes.
So they're 2 different assertions, aren't they?
No.
You gave a statement on July 3rd to the state police, right? A recorded statement.
Yes.
You testified yesterday and today. What was your preparation like for this case? To come in here and testify.
I met up with Mr. Gubitosi, Attorney Gubitosi,
How many times?
I believe twice.
And when did that? When were those meetings?
One was recently, I think last Thursday, and the one before, I can't remember.
And when did you start prepping your testimony?
This past Thursday.
Well, you probably started prepping your testimony about 5 minutes after the shooting, didn't you?
No,
When was the first time you were questioned about what happened?
I think July 3rd.
So everyone left you alone until July 3rd?
Yes.
When you were upstairs with Kelsey, she kept giving you things and asking you to take them downstairs, didn't she?
That's correct.
And she did that with Houston as well, right?
Yes.
So it's fair to say that she was trying to get you away from her, right?
I don't know what her mindset was. I wasn't going to leave her alone.
Sure, let me ask you a better question. The effect of that would have been, if you took things downstairs, that you would have left her.
Yes, that's correct.
That's not consistent with her trying to kill you, is it? She's trying to get rid of you.
Can you ask that question again?
The fact that she's trying to remove you from the area where her gun is not consistent with her trying to kill you, is it?
At that point, no.
So let's get into the incident here. What do you say happened? You say that Kelsey went into her bedroom after being in the baby's room, correct?
Yes.
You don't go in the room, right?
No, I stayed at the very top of the stairs right before the door frame.
So it's fair to say you're on the landing, the top of the stairs, looking into the room.
That's correct.
And the room's got a lot of furniture in it, a lot of things everywhere, right?
Yes.
So you say that Kelsey has a change in her demeanor, right?
Yes.
She starts to shake and get upset, shaking uncontrollably, you said, right?
Yes.
Then she lunges.
Yes.
She's on her knees.
She was, I believe, on her right knee.
Said that she pushed off her left leg and lunged, right?
Yes.
And at the time, you were 3 feet away from her.
Yes.
Maybe less.
Maybe.
So can we agree that's arm's length?
She was a little further away than arm's length, I would say.
So arm's length if you reach over, maybe. How about
Yes.
that? Okay. And your testimony is that she lunges over and obtains a gun.
Yes.
Right. And she assumes a certain stance.
Can you elaborate?
Well, you were there. What stance did she assume?
She pointed a gun at my face and pulled the trigger.
And yesterday, when you were being questioned, you assumed a two-handed stance to show that, didn't you?
That's correct.
And what do you call that kind of a stance?
I don't know.
It's like a modified Weaver stance?
Yes.
So she assumes a modified Weaver stance. Can you stand up and show a modified Weaver stance? That's just what it's called.
Okay.
Can you demonstrate to us what a modified Weaver stance looks like?
Do you want me to stand up and show you?
Please.
So are you asking him just in general?
Just to show the stance in general first. Yes, Judge. Thank you.
So she grabs it, comes up, pulls the trigger.
Well, that's not, I don't think that's what he was asking you. But
So just what's the modified Weaver stance? What is it?
Here.
And what, can you describe it? What are you doing when you do a modified Weaver stance?
Strong side. Strong side. All right. So if I'm righty, this is my strong side. That's going to grab the pistol, and I use my support hand to support the weapon.
Are you righty?
I'm sorry?
Are you righty?
I am.
You can have some. Thank you.
Thanks.
And you're saying that Ms. Fitzsimmons had the gun in that kind of a stance?
Yes.
And how far was the gun away from your face?
Mm. It was right outside of arm's length.
So she's 3 feet away. She assumes the modified Weaver stance, so she's probably another foot or two towards you, right?
She stepped to the left. I don't know if she stepped towards me.
Well, your testimony was that she immediately lifted the gun to you and
Yes.
pulled the trigger and tried to shoot you right in the face.
Yes.
So the gun didn't go off.
No.
And there she is with the gun there. The guns didn't go off. And you're within feet of her and the gun that didn't go off, right?
That's correct.
And you didn't just grab her, did you?
No, I was in complete shock. And then she started backpedaling immediately and trying to tap and rack that weapon.
Right. So your testimony is that Kelsey goes from a wounded bird shaking uncontrollably to a female movie action hero, doesn't she?
Those aren't my words.
That's your description of what happened, isn't it?
I didn't describe that either.
So
Understood.
she gets the gun. She tries to murder you in the face.
Yes.
5 minutes after she has her feed her baby,
Yes.
she pulls the trigger, nothing happens.
Yes. It went click.
She stands up, right?
She was already standing.
So as she's standing, she shoots you, and she tries to shoot you in the face.
Yes. And then she started to backpedal.
So first she backpedals, then she sidesteps, she tap racks again, right?
Yes.
So in all this time, this is like the longest tap rack in history, isn't it?
It's 4 seconds.
So she gets up, she sidestep first or backpedal first?
Backpedals.
So she backpedals first.
And then
How many
sidestep. I would say maybe 4 or 5, and then maybe another 3, 4 or 5 to her left, which is my right.
So she goes into action. She tapping the magazine and then racking the gun while she's moving around.
Yes, she's a well-trained police officer
Who's a whack job.
who tried to kill me.
So let's get the order straight. You said that she backpedals first
Yes, after she pulled the trigger.
and nothing happens.
Yes,
And then she taps the magazine
yes.
and then racks the slide.
I believe her hand slipped off. That's when she went and I was giving her commands, don't do it. And she re-racked and started to bring her right arm up.
And then she does it again, right?
Yes,
And you actually have no idea whether she successfully racked it the first time or successfully racked it the second time, correct?
that's correct.
You don't know what happened.
No, I don't.
And so it takes a few seconds to take 4 or 5 or whatever steps back towards the air conditioner, right?
From beginning to end, once she pulled the gun on me and pulled the trigger, and by the time I shot her, it was right around 4 seconds total, if not 3.5. It was very fast.
So she goes from shaking uncontrollably, sad about her situation, crying, to being pretty nimble.
She wasn't crying.
She walks, she backpedals, you said, right?
That's correct.
Then she sidesteps
Yes,
to the air conditioner. And you had a look of panic on your face at that time, didn't you?
no,
You were flustered, weren't you?
no.
Well, you were in shock 5 minutes later, weren't you?
After the incident and my adrenaline dumped, yeah, I was in shock then.
So at the time, getting back to the incident, Kelsey's by the air conditioner. She's backpedaled, she sidestepped, she tapped, she racked, she tapped, she racked, and then you shoot her.
Yes.
And you shot 2 shots. Where are we on the rapid succession? Which one do you want to go with? Rapid succession, or you shot, gave commands, and shot again? Which is it?
I was given commands and shooting at the same time.
Well, your prior testimony was that you shot, you pulled the trigger, gave commands, and you pulled the trigger again.
Yes.
So was it that, or was it boom, boom, rapid succession?
It all happened in 4 seconds or less.
So you're a very well-trained SWAT officer, yes?
Yes.
You're a firearms instructor.
No.
You're a patrol instructor, where you instruct
With
other
a-
officers on the job, right?
Field training officer.
Field training officer.
Yes.
Thank you.
Mhm.
And you've been doing this for 25 years,
No.
20 years.
Right around there. Yes.
Okay, so you've been doing this for 20 years. And one of your thought processes was that you wanted to give your training and experience back to the North Andover PD where you started, right?
Yes, and come back where I started.
And here, your first shot, you missed her from about 7 feet away.
I did. It was longer than 7 feet. It was at that point about 15 feet,
15 feet.
I would say.
Do you have any measurements on this?
No, but if you remove the bed and you were to walk diagonal from where I shot, it was probably around 15.
So the first shot you missed her and you hit the air conditioner. Is that right? Or do you know?
I didn't know where it went.
And the fact is that we have only one spent projectile in this case, right?
I'm sorry?
We only have one spent projectile in this case, correct?
I don't know what state police collected.
You weren't curious as to any of the paperwork or anything that happened in the case?
I believe they told me that there was one on the bed and one on the floor, I think. But I don't know where that one projectile comes from.
Did you know that there was one in the curtain next to the air conditioner?
No.
Have you looked at any photos from this at all?
Some, yes.
Did you know that?
Nope.
Yeah, Coach Norm?
Yes.
Just the photo.
Yeah.
Do you have some? Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Thank you.
I show you for the record, exhibit 49, sir. See that?
Yes, that's the entrance to her bedroom.
And is that a fair and accurate depiction of kind of the stuff that was there at the time?
I didn't see any of that at the time because I was facing forward. That's at a completely different angle.
Well, that's the area where you say that she lunged to, right?
There, yes, that would have been my left. Yep.
Now, at some point, there was a safe there, wasn't there? A green safe.
I have no idea what was there.
Didn't you speak with Officer Core at the scene?
Yes, I did.
And Officer Core, you said that you ordered him to do something. You remember that?
I did.
You ordered him to take the gun and get it out of there?
Secure it.
And what were you doing at the time you ordered him to do that?
Rendering aid to Kelsey Fitzsimmons.
So you're over by the bed. He would have had to go in that area to get the firearm and secure it, right?
So I placed the firearm. You can't see the right side of the door frame. So if you were to walk into that bedroom and look right, there's some sort of I don't know, nightstand or something. I put the weapon right there.
Show you Exhibit 75. Is this the?
Oh, it's the white. Yes, that's it.
Is that where you put the firearm?
On top of that.
Now let's just scroll it.
Exhibit what?
75.
Thank you.
So let's talk about who touched the firearm. So Daly picks up the firearm, right?
Yes.
And the firearm was under Kelsey's leg, correct?
I don't know where it was. I was covering down. I didn't. I know he flipped her over and found the weapon. I don't recall where it was.
Okay. You heard, strike that. So your testimony is that Kelsey's racking the gun, sidestepping, backpedaling, tap rack, and at some point she points the gun at you, right?
Her arm started to come up towards me.
Okay. So it's fair to say that she's back again, like we said earlier. She's starting to do this, right?
No Weaver stance.
Okay, so one hand.
It was.
What's that? Is that the FBI crouch? What do you call that? Is that
a one-handed?
Okay. It's not called the FBI crouch?
I've never heard that term.
Okay. So she starts to point the gun at you. So we agree then that the gun is out in front of her, right?
It was in the upward position. It was coming up towards me. When I fired my second round, I saw her kind of buckle and she lowered her weapon and I stopped shooting and then she went to the ground.
You hit her in the chest. She goes flying back and lands on her back, right?
She didn't go flying back.
She landed on her back, correct?
She went down to the ground. I don't know which way she went. I think she crouched over.
Well, you knew she was on her back, didn't you?
I don't remember. As far as that goes, that's kind of a blur.
So the idea that she's got the gun out in front of her, she falls on her back. If the gun's underneath her, is this some sort of a magic gun?
I don't know where you're getting at.
Doesn't it make sense that if the gun is out here and she receives a force of a 9mm bullet pushing her back this way, how does the gun get all the way behind her and under her leg?
I have no idea. It's the way she fell.
So back to the notion of who touches the gun. Daly picks up the gun, right?
Yes.
Daly puts it on the bed, correct?
Yes.
And you don't like that?
I don't. It's too close to her.
Okay. Well, she's sitting there with a gunshot wound to her chest with you there and Daly there. Isn't that fair to say?
Yes.
So you touch the gun, right?
I do.
And then you move it to the white bookshelf.
Yes.
And then Core arrives. And
yes.
Then you tell Core to grab the gun and secure it, right?
I do.
And then Core has it. Does he take it into the hallway?
Maybe. I remember just focusing my attention on Kelsey.
Sure, understandable. So you're focusing on Kelsey and you're giving her first aid?
Yes. Well, Lieutenant Daly was starting to work on her.
Well, is it fair to say that at first you still had your gun on her, but then you helped with the first aid?
Yes.
Okay.
Afterwards.
So that was your primary focus, was that once you felt that she was not a threat to you on your testimony, you started to assist with the first aid, right?
Yes.
and you and Daly are rendering first aid, and then Core comes, right?
Yes. Yes.
And you say, get that out of here, secure the gun.
Yep. Make it safe.
Okay, so it's fair to say that Core does that, but your attention is not on what he's doing, it's on rendering first aid, right?
That's correct.
So you don't have any knowledge or observation of what Core did with the firearm, right?
No.
At some point, are you aware that Core takes the green safe and the firearm out into the hallway?
I didn't see him do any of that.
I show you Exhibit 51. You recognize that?
Yes, I did.
So Exhibit 51 is the left side of the door frame where you say that Kelsey lunged, right?
That's correct.
Is that how it looked when she lunged over there?
I didn't see that when I was in the hallway.
Do you know anything about that shoebox with the orange lining?
I have no idea.
Do you remember seeing that chest with the brown leather trim on it?
I thought it was an end table when I walked out of the room.
Do you think that the gun came from any of those areas there?
With how quick she grabbed it, I think it came from that box, but I don't know.
Exhibit 36. That's a picture of the stairway, right?
Yes.
It's pretty narrow.
Yes.
And you went up to the top and you were at that landing, right?
That's correct.
You never entered Kelsey's room?
No.
So you said that you were shocked that Kelsey was quickly grabbing a gun and putting it in your face?
Yeah, absolutely.
And that she'd gotten the drop on you, right?
Yes.
And at that point, you feared for your life, you say, right?
Absolutely.
And you panicked and you shot her.
No.
Well, you missed her from just a few feet away.
It's hard to shoot a moving target or anything moving.
Are you aware of the Post Commission?
Yes.
And you know that the Post Commission has issued regulations that are in the Code of Massachusetts Regulations?
Yes.
And you know that it's prohibited to use deadly force on a person who is exhibiting a danger only to themselves.
Absolutely.
And you knew that on June 30th, 2025, didn't you?
I've known that since I graduated the police academy in 2006 or even before.
Right. And you went in there thinking that Kelsey was dangerous and had guns and you might get into it, right?
That's inaccurate.
And that's why you had your gloves on, isn't it?
No.
You were ready to get wet.
No.
I'm sorry, ready to get what?
Get wet, Your Honor. And that's when you had to adjust the narrative, isn't that true?
No.
So you're going to maintain that you got into a gunfight with somebody who was your colleague, right?
Yes.
Who had just given you her baby to feed 5 minutes earlier
Yes.
of her own volition.
Yes.
She developed some sort of a homicidal animus towards you for what Justin Elaine just did to her, right?
I don't think it was unbeknownst to me. I didn't know Justin was in the house. I think I was standing in her way for her to get downstairs and kill Justin.
I assume this is in hindsight.
Hindsight, yep.
37, one moment, please.
Take your time.
Did you have a taser?
I did.
Did you think maybe to use the taser when she pulled the trigger and the gun didn't go off?
No. You
When
meet
she's-
deadly force with deadly force.
She's 3 feet away from you?
Yes.
Could have just grabbed her, couldn't you?
No.
And if there was deadly force, you wouldn't have stopped at 2 shots, would you? You would have emptied that magazine right into her.
I stopped when she stopped. And that's what I'm trying to do. Stop the threat. Not empty a mag.
What were some of the things that she asked you to bring downstairs?
I think there was a basket of books and I believe some clothes. I think she put him in a car seat.
What did you say to her when she asked you to bring him downstairs?
I said, we'll deal with that later. And I put him down.
What was her reaction?
She just kept packing stuff.
So you said that you'd started your career in the North Andover Police Department, correct?
That's correct.
And you left for the Lawrence Police Department in what year?
2011.
And then you were on the SWAT team from 2019 to 2024, correct?
That's correct.
And that you left North Andover to get a faster pace, right? What do you mean by a faster pace?
Busier. Are you talking about when I left North Andover to go to Lawrence, or
Yes.
a busier atmosphere?
More action.
More calls for service.
More what? I'm sorry.
Calls for service.
Calls for service.
I wanted more experience.
And you were there for how long?
In Lawrence?
Yeah.
From 2011 to 2024.
2024, you go back to North Andover, correct?
Yes.
And you said that you wanted to bring your training and experience back to where it all started, right?
Yes.
Meaning you wanted to offer officers at North Andover the benefit of your training and experience, correct?
Correct.
You said that you only have 10 years left, getting older, the slower pace is what's needed, right?
Yes.
So is it fair to say that the stress of a busy urban department was getting to you?
No,
Well, you did tell Kelsey that you had PTSD, didn't you?
absolutely not.
So slower pace, and you just wanted to grace the department with your training and experience, correct?
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
Judge, I told counsel that I would ask for a sidebar before the next topic.
Sure. So, as I stated at sidebar, we should discuss in open court what was raised at sidebar, which we will do outside of Officer Noonan's presence. So we're going to take a break so that Officer Noonan can stand down. In the meantime, I want to direct this to the folks, the audience members. In case you weren't here yesterday, you should know there should be no recording, audio, video, photographs by anyone at all other than our couple of media representatives that have expressed permission, okay? If you are caught doing so, you will be removed from this courtroom and the courthouse and told not to come back, okay? Do we understand each other? Thank you. We'll take a break.
All rise. We have the 15:30 recess.
Session, you may be seated. Your Honor, we're back on record on the Kelsey Fitzsimmons matter. All counsel and the defendants are present.
Okay. Okay, all right. So, all right, just for the record, Officer Noonan is not in the courtroom, correct?
No,
Okay, and Mr. Brado, do you have additional counsel sitting with you?
Yes, thank you. I want to introduce some attorneys that are working with us in the probate court. And I wanted to ask if it'd be all right if they were up here, because they've been assisting us with various factional matters. Would that be all right with the court if they sit here?
Commonwealth, if you take a position?
No, they filed appearances in this case.
Yeah, I think you'll have to file these limited appearances for the day, that's fine, and let me get your names. I'm sorry, your names again?
Julie Hess.
Dan, you?
Ryan Leonard, LEONARD.
Okay, welcome.
Thank you.
All right, so let me just discuss what we were, just raise what we were discussing at sidebar. So Mr. Brado came to sidebar, asked for permission to explore three areas on his cross of Officer Noonan. The Commonwealth reminded me that this topic or topics are addressed in a motion in limine that the Commonwealth filed prior to trial that I deferred ruling on, which is paper 62, Commonwealth's motion in limine to prohibit questioning regarding current duty status. Mr. Brado, let me just start by paraphrasing what I think the three areas are.
Yes, sir.
And then you can tell me. So you wish to explore three areas on cross with Officer Newman on the grounds that the areas could show or do show that he was offered promises, inducements, or rewards for his testimony. Right? That's the theory. The first being, generally speaking, that he was not drug tested after the shooting. Is that
Correct. That's right, Your Honor.
And you're, I'm sorry.
It was a town policy. It's a town policy that if there's a serious incident, that the town would drug test the officers involved.
Okay. So number two, and I may not have these in the order that you raised them. Number two was that essentially you allege Officer Noonan missed a shift sometime after the shooting. Perhaps it was, let's say, medication related, generally speaking. And number three, that Mr. Noonan, strike that, Officer Noonan allegedly was placed on administrative leave, but allowed to work details, and that you believe that to be in violation of some policy or CBA.
Yes, Your Honor. You're either a policeman who can work or you're a policeman who can't work, and you can't be performing details in uniform as a policeman while you're out on critical incident leave because you can't work.
All right. So generally speaking, we did address some of this pre-trial in the sense that there was a Rule 17 motions, right, by the defense to get Officer Noonan's IAD files from Lawrence and North Andover PDs, which I believe Officer Noonan agreed, which is really unprecedented in my view, agreed to provide a waiver for him to get those. So bias in the sense that North Andover police, let's say, allegedly, and Officer Noonan are trying to curry favor with one another in lieu of in lieu of his testimony here. Okay, let's just say arguably for a moment. But let's just go back now, Mr. Brado, what's your basis for saying that, for alleging that he wasn't drug tested and that there's some policy, or does the Commonwealth concede?
The Commonwealth concedes he wasn't drug tested, but that the Commonwealth position is that that's not a policy, that there's no violation of any policy because the collective policy trumps the general personnel policies. And so in that way, there's no potential promise or work. Can I put something else?
Yeah, please.
Right, paper.
Sure.
Again, it's both a promise for what we're doing. Officer Noonan provided grand jury testimony and a recorded interview to the Commonwealth days and then in August. And all of these incidents happened well subsequent to that.
I understand.
And there's no claim that Officer Noonan has substantially changed his testimony from what he told the police on July 3rd. So again, there's no plausible showing or consideration in exchange for a testimony that has been remarkably consistent since July 3rd.
What do you say? Did you say remarkably consistent?
Yes.
Okay. So I don't think that's really the issue right here.
No, it is, because the Commonwealth raises a good point. So even
the other side of it.
No, even on my theory, and I'm gonna just give me a moment. Even on my theory that arguably, let's say that each side, again, not the Essex DA's office or the prosecution team under Rule 14, but let's say the police department and Officer Noonan are trying to curry favor with one another. Ms. Moriarty does make a valid point that there still needs to be some showing that he's changed his story.
Sure. I know that's a familiar topic that we all use in this area. Oh, they didn't change their testimony. That's not this. And here's why. This is a reward. It's after the fact. They're giving him rewards for his cooperation to keep him happy. So he does well. So he's economically enriched. So he's treated nicely. And it's a reward. That's why that doesn't apply here, Judge. He is being rewarded for his continued cooperation. It's not the typical one that we often deal with.
No, but let me just push back on that. So he's cooperative, but does his testimony? But he gave I think this is what I heard, is he gave a recorded statement to the state police a few days after the shooting, right? So he's being rewarded for cooperation, for doing his his legal duty, that is, show up when he's summoned to testify in open court?
I think the fact that there's a legal duty attached to someone testifying doesn't eliminate the fact that you can be rewarded for what you're doing. You can get special treatment outside the rules. And I think that goes to the heart of cross-examination, where if someone has a rule made up just for them, that they can be a cop on a detail, but they don't have to be on the schedule because they're out on leave because they can't perform their job. That's a remarkable, unprecedented, in my research and investigation, an unprecedented accommodation.
Well, is it unprecedented or is it legally binding part of the CBA?
No, it's in violation of that.
Okay, so I don't, go ahead, Ms. Moriarty.
Judge, I'm frankly less concerned about this issue where you're the backpacker. I think it's the right thing to do is to keep this as any other, we treat any other witness, where it doesn't matter what employment decisions of the police and Officer Noonan have, that's the employment decisions with like IA files are not part of the prosecution team, are not part of his work team. North Andover couldn't promise Officer Noonan something without the approval of the district attorney's office. So I think that, again, that interplay, if there is any interplay there, has nothing to do with Officer Noonan's testimony.
Okay, but Mr. Bradle says that this absence of drug testing was in contravention of the CBA.
I don't think he hasn't brought forward the CBA. He hasn't participated that question.
All right, so Mr. Bradle, let's move on to the second point. Your second point is that Mr. Noonan, Officer Noonan, allegedly missed a shift related to some medication. Let's leave. I don't need to know more. I mean, I know more because you've articulated at Sidebar, but we don't need to rehash that. And you're saying, I think somewhere in your paperwork, that as a result of that missing the shift, I think you referred to it as AWOL, he received a written reprimand as opposed to some more significant action, adverse action. Correct? Is that generally what your theory is?
Generally, yes, Your Honor, with a little more elaboration, if I could.
Please.
So we've had a number of whistleblowers from the department approach us with information. And as a result of that, I will proffer to the court that I have a good faith basis to assert that.
To assert generally what
Your
sources.
Yeah.
What I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to make sure that no witness's reputation is attacked and destroyed on an illegal issue that I end up denying. All right. So I'm not saying that that's the case here, but let's just say, okay, let's skip you have a good faith basis to ask this. Okay. You say you have a whistleblower, etc. So you're saying that this again shows what? That he's receiving favorable treatment?
Rewards for his continued cooperation. That's correct. That it doesn't have anything to do with changing his testimony or not changing his testimony. That he's being lavished with rewards. He is, and I won't say anything relative to any of his conduct, but that this reprimand letter was not going to be issued. And that at some point it was sort of after the fact thing that it was in fact issued for appearance's sake. And that originally there was going to be no sanction whatsoever and no exploration into and I won't say, but the reasons why he missed a shift.
Okay. So let's say there that the proposed question is, Officer Noonan, isn't it true that on such and such a date, you overslept because of some medication, you missed a shift, you were deemed AWOL, and you only received a written reprimand when policy called for you to be subject to the death penalty. And so that's the question. And he says, yes, no, okay, then what? Let's say he says, no, that's not true.
Well, we have the letter.
Okay. All right. So, all right. And then the last item is he was put on administrative leave and allowed to work details in violation of policy.
Right.
And you're saying that that's an ongoing?
That's my information, Judge, is that he was working details and
What's the source of your information?
another whistleblower. And they come to me in good faith and,
And
they.
have you vetted these whistleblowers?
Yes.
Okay. Listen, frankly, if this was a jury trial, and I realize I'm talking out of two sides of my mouth again, because I said yesterday we're going to treat this just like a jury trial. If this was a jury trial, this would be an easy decision. The decision would be not even close on your proffer, denied. The objection would be sustained. I'm going to allow one question each as to each of these areas. Mr. Brado, you'll accept whatever the testimony is under oath to that answer to that question. I'll just remind you, because I'm reminding you, I'm really saying this for our audience, not you personally, but I'll just remind counsel that questions of witnesses are not evidence. The evidence is their answers. So that's what will be used or could possibly be used in your closing argument. I'm going to allow one question each as to these areas, and you'll have to live with the answer that is provided under oath. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And do you need to speak with Officer Noonan about this before he returns Commonwealth? Okay. All right. So he may resume the stand, Officer Noonan. Thank you, Officer Noonan. And Mr. Brado, you may continue your cross-examination.
Thank you. Sir, I want to ask you some questions about some of the treatment you've gotten by the North Andover Police Department since this incident. Sure. Okay. Now, after this incident, immediately after this incident, you were not drug tested by the town or the police department, correct?
No.
And you're aware that's a policy of the town?
That I don't know.
You don't know the town policy?
As far as the drug testing.
Now, you also are on critical incident leave right now, or word to that effect, right?
Yes.
And that means that you're not able to perform the duties of a police officer for the time being, so you get put on leave, right?
Yes.
And yet at the same time, you're being permitted to work as a police officer on paid details. Isn't that true?
Yes, that was our union.
So it's just a yes or no question.
Yes.
And that is an accommodation that was made via a side. May I inquire, Your Honor? Or?
Regarding on that one question.
Yeah, okay. Sustained. Next question.
That is something that is not ordinarily permitted, is it?
No, you've gotten your answer. Okay, Mr. Bagel, next question.
All right. Now, you also were absent without leave from a shift recently, correct?
Back in January. Yep.
And with respect to that, there was a reprimand letter issued to you, correct?
That's correct.
And at first, that wasn't going to issue, was it?
All right, let me just hear the question. What I was really expecting was one long leading question each, but that's all right. You're breaking it up. Let me just hear the question, Officer Noonan. Please don't answer it until I hear it.
So
go ahead.
The question, Judge, is that reprimand letter that appeared in your file was originally not going to issue against you, was it?
All right. That's the question?
Yes.
Okay, and you're going to live with the answer.
Yes.
All right. Yes or no?
I have no idea. I was just called in one day to sign it.
Okay.
So I have no idea if it was or was not.
All right. So.
Yeah, that's all I have, Your Honor.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
In that area, you're not done with cross, right? I'm assuming that you're
in that area,
okay.
right? In terms of rewards, Judge. Yes, that's
Thank
all I
you.
have. Now, I want to circle back on a couple of things. You gave a recorded statement to the state police on July 3rd, correct?
Yes.
And we talked back and forth about your belief or your expressed intent to section her, and you said that wasn't the case, right?
Can you ask that again?
Yeah, you said that there was discussion about sectioning her, but that wasn't your your thought process, or you didn't know about her or whatever, right?
When we discussed it, behind the school, it was brought up that she may not take this well. She may have to get sectioned. She was sectioned prior. So
So here you're saying that it was a speculative possibility. Is that fair to say?
it could have been a possibility depending on how she took the restraining order, respectfully.
Judge, if I may, I'd like to play a recording from the state police
Okay.
interview from July 3rd.
For impeachment purposes?
Yes.
All right, any objection? Okay, sure. We should probably, we need to mark it for ID at least, unless you're seeking to admit it, but let's take it a
I'm
step.
just I'd be playing a prior inconsistent statement, Judge, for.
Okay, so we're gonna have to mark it for ID. I don't, do you have a mechanism to be able to do that? Is it on a thumb drive or something that can be marked? If you're not able to do so today, tomorrow morning, just please bring in the recording that's being played and we'll mark it.
Certainly.
Okay, all right.
Fiancé had just taken out a restraining order, and we were there to serve it, confiscate her firearms, and then we were going to section her.
So that's what you said on July 3rd, that we were going to section her, right?
Yes,
So at the time, you had it in your head that she was someone who needed to be sectioned, right?
if that's what I said in the statement, then yes.
In other words, somebody who was mentally ill and a danger to themselves or others, right?
Yes.
And that never panned out, right?
No, it didn't,
Because she was shot in the chest and went to the hospital for 53 days, right?
because she tried to kill me.
Now, I asked you earlier about whether or not you talked to Ms. Fitzsimmons about PTSD type symptoms. You recall that?
No, I don't.
Do you recall me asking?
Oh, are you
her
asking?
today?
Yes.
And isn't it true that you went on a call with her in August of 2024? That was a extremely difficult call involving a murder-suicide where the murder was of a baby.
Yes, that was horrific.
And you and Kelsey went to that call, right?
I'm with other officers, yes.
And you had shared some texting after that, right?
Yes, I was being a senior officer trying to help out a rookie go through traumatic event.
And your phone number, I don't want to give out the phone number, but it's fair to say that Kelsey had your phone number.
Yes, I think we were all in a group text.
And it's a 978. Just leave it there.
That's correct.
Okay. And so in that text, you said to Kelsey, relating to your past career, I spiraled down a rabbit hole, a very dark place. This happened years later in my career. We can speak in person about that. I have a guy I've been going to for years, like 10. And when I feel like I'm off, I call him, and all I have to say is, I need a tune-up, and he does me in. Right?
I don't recall that, but if that came from my number, then I had that conversation with her. I don't remember that at all.
All right. May I approach you?
Yeah.
And I apologize. I have to do this on my cell phone. This just came up this morning. I can show it.
Okay.
May I approach you?
Yeah.
So here, let me show you some of these two screenshots. First of all, that's contact, and that's your phone number and it says Noonan, right?
That's correct.
Okay. So this is the text I want to show you.
Which one? This one right here.
There. And you can scroll up and down if you want, but this is the black part is you and the blue part is Kelsey, right? You can get some context.
Wait, in blue?
Kelsey's.
Oh,
blue,
Kelsey's
and
in
you'd be
blue.
in black. Yeah.
So can I just make an observation? So you asked the witness about this particular text, about essentially that perhaps he had therapy and needed to tune up, et cetera.
Yes.
He said his answer was if he basically is not contesting the
Yes.
authenticity of that. So what are we doing?
Well, it's tricky, Judge, from where I sit, it's tricky that when a witness says, well, if that's what it says. So I feel like I need to establish that's what it says. That's all.
Okay.
And so-
Fair enough.
And I think I can leave it there. Officer, is that what it says? What I suggested?
It does.
And so we agree that you communicated that to Kelsey?
Yes.
And we can agree that that's pretty personal stuff
Mhm.
to share with somebody that you say that you didn't know very well, isn't it?
Again, senior officer, she's going through a lot. I was just trying to be there for her. And that was one horrific call.
And we agree that that's something that can create very profound bonding between officers when you have a common tragedy that you have to deal with.
Yes, but you move on. You go back to work.
I want to go back to the bedroom where Kelsey's on the floor and you stop holding the gun on her. You assist Lieutenant Daly with first aid.
Yes.
Okay. And you were asked by the ADA, what did she say when she was on the floor? Recall that?
I don't remember
Just
that.
yes or no, just the context of being asked that.
Maybe.
And see if this refreshes your memory. You said that she said, it hurts. She said, it hurts. I, meaning you, said, keep breathing. You have a baby to live for.
Yes.
Right? And that was your testimony about what she said and what you said, right?
Yes.
And that was the truth?
Yes.
And that was the whole truth.
Yes.
Now, when you were interviewed by Attorney Bennett of the CIC investigation,
Yes.
you painted quite a different picture, didn't you?
No.
You had something to add that made you look good, didn't you?
No.
You said to Attorney Bennett, if I could have one moment, Judge, I just want to get this exactly right. Just need a moving arm.
No problem.
Page 11, the 80-something page report, 9-page report. With respect to the CIC report, you did say the part that she was saying it hurt, it hurt. I told her to just keep breathing. Do you recall that?
Sure.
You have a son. You wanted to hear for your kid. Does that ring a bell?
I didn't hear that last.
I'm sorry. You have a son. You wanted to hear for your kid.
Okay.
You said that to Mr. Bennett.
If it's there, yes.
Then you added something quite memorable that you didn't say here in court. Isn't that correct?
You tell me what's in it. I don't know.
You said that she reached up. She grabbed my hand. I held her hand, consoled her. And then I asked her why. And she stopped talking and just literally just looked right through me. Death stare.
If
That's
it's there,
what you
then
said.
yes. If it's there, that's what I said.
And you didn't say that here in court today, did you?
I didn't remember. I totally forgot about that.
You forgot about something like that. Nothing further on.
I'm sorry. No more. You're done?
Yes.
Okay. Redirect.
So I'm going to show you what's been previously marked as exhibit number 57. Is that a better picture of that
Yes.
area that you put the gun,
Yes.
that officer court took?
Yes.
You also stated just during cross-examination that you knew Ms. Fitzsimmons had been sectioned before, correct?
That's correct.
And did you know that before the call?
I did.
Okay. And did that factor into how you were assessing the situation in the house?
Yes.
Did that factor into the team, you, Houston, and Daly, about the fact that you were never going to take your eyes off her?
That's correct.
Okay. Counsel had asked you about the first time you making a statement about what happened was July 3rd, correct?
Yes.
Did you tell anybody what happened before that?
Before
I didn't
July?
hear that.
Oh, sure. I'll say it again. Counsel had asked you whether you had, the first time you made a statement about what happened in the room was July 3rd, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Did you tell Officer Core what happened?
I did.
Did you tell Lieutenant Daly what happened?
I did.
Did you tell Officer Houston what happened?
I did.
What did you say?
I said she tried to shoot me.
Thank you. Nothing else.
Objection, Judge, that's hearsay, and so I have a motion to strike.
Okay. Overruled. Do you have recross?
No,
I'm not, just to be clear, I'm not, Mr. Bradle, I did not allow that last statement in for the truth, just for a state of mind.
Thank you.
And to rehabilitate as well. All right, no further questions for Officer Noonan from either side? I take the silence as a no.
Okay.
Thank you very much. You may step down, and Commonwealth, you can call your next witness. Thank you. Well, before the witness departs, you were almost out of here. You didn't move quick. You didn't move fast enough. All right, yeah, we can go to sidebar.